Oh, hey, there you are. Listen, Jacoby Brissett is not a nerf quarterback. Eventually, he's going to have one of these thunderous hits land him on the sidelines. God willing, he's fine. But that means that Drake Maye is going to hit the field sooner rather than later. And we all understand the Patriots had been hoping to avoid that. Why? Well, let's look around the NFL right now. Number 1 overall pick from last year, Bryce Young, benched. Caleb Williams, number 1 pick this year in Chicago, not playing so hot. They're going to play the Jets this week. Look at the Jets. They've gone through Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. All of those guys have washed out of their program and are either on their second life profitably, like Geno Smith, someplace else, or hoping for that second chance. Unfortunately for the Patriots, their team wasn't ready to sustain a rookie quarterback. Unfortunately, that rookie quarterback is probably going to be on the field sooner rather than later. Godspeed, Jacoby. Good luck, Drake, when the time does come. We'll hit it.
Quick Slants is presented by your local New England Honda dealers.
Always remember and don't ever forget, I do not wish ill will on Jacoby, but nobody makes it through an NFL season, okay? Without getting a ding here and there, and it always happens at quarterback. He is a gladiator, though, and you know what? I have my own gladiator. It's Kayla Burton, the exquisite co-host for Quick Slants 2024.
Let's go!
How you doing, kid?
I like the pink.
Thank you very much.
You copied me.
I did.
But let's get into the important stuff. Are you concerned about Jacoby Brissett?
Well, I'm just concerned health-wise. I mean, how many plays was he flipping around like a salmon after on Sunday afternoon? And it's just going to continue this way. You got Quinn and Williams and the Jets coming up this week. So at some point, we're going to see snaps taken in anger by the Patriots' young quarterback, Drake Maye.
Yeah, 3 sacks. It was not looking good. Let's get to the game plan, please.
Let's get to the game plan right over here. Pop music. Talk about pop music. We got a Jets look ahead as well with Connor Hughes from SNY. Let Drake bake? Yeah, you probably ought to, but you might not be able to. We got your comments on that and early surprises around the National Football League, Kayla.
All right, Tommy Curran, it is now time, as you know. Quick Fires presented by your New England local Honda dealer. Here's DeMario Pop Douglas expressing some warranted frustration after not getting any touches on the ball in Sunday's game.
Quick fire.
Competitive guy, just not no targets, no catches. Like, how challenging is that?
Yeah, very, very challenging. But on to the next game.
Feel like you guys have been good wise, route wise, and everything else.
You pull up the film. You can tell. But things happen for a reason, and whenever my time ready, I'm going to show them.
You know what? Here you have a player, Kayla, who is being held hostage, not by the quarterback, not by Alex Van Helt, but by the offensive line, which we all knew in the offseason was a significant issue for these Patriots. They didn't do enough to address it, and as a result, you got guys like Pop Douglas who aren't able to get the ball, Alex Van Pelt who can't ski anything up for him, and Jacoby Brissett who is continually looking for guys like Hunter Henry or KJ Osborne who are veteran players. And the best player on the offense in terms of explosiveness and unguardability, Pop Douglas, catchless virtually.
Yeah, not so good news there. More bad news, unfortunately, to report. Patriots linebacker Juwan Bentley, he's going to miss the rest of the season with a torn pec. Now, Bentley is the team captain. He was wearing the green dot. He also put up 7 tackles and half a sack so far this season. Not to mention, y'all, 3 consecutive seasons with 100-plus tackles. So, Tommy Curran, how much does this hurt the Pats' defense that already lost Christian Barmore? We don't know when he's going to return. And traded away Matthew Judon. Yeah,
one of your most consistent performers in Juwan Bentley. He actually is mostly the successor to Jerod Mayo that I can think of. Dante Hightower was a similar player in some ways, but Dante Hightower was even more of a freak athlete than Jerod Mayo, who was a freak athlete. Really, Juwan Bentley is kind of in between. And what he did is, even though he wasn't ridiculously athletic, he was a player who was so smart and so anticipatory that he got to plays maybe a half second quicker, and he allowed other players to make plays as well. Jelani Tavai, he was a player who profited from the presence of Juwan Bentley to a large extent, the same way Brandon Spikes used to from the presence of Mayo back in the day. So it's a big loss for the Patriots, especially, as I mentioned, with Breece Hall and the Jets coming to town, one of the best backs in the league.
I'm assuming you watched the game. Well, if you did, if you weren't, one of the biggest plays in Sunday's loss, DK Metcalf, 56 yards to the house. Kyle Duggar spoke after the game about what went wrong there.
Yeah, we was in max blitz coverage, and just a bad read by myself, and they caught us in a call that was kind of problematic. Their offensive call was our defensive call, so yeah.
What was supposed to happen there?
You just had to read the quarterback. I didn't get a good read on the quarterback, and so that basically like a bust. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, critical play. You cannot have that happen. That's why I says this is kind of inexcusable, because you have a Pro Bowl level player, one of the best players on the team, one of the most highly compensated players on the team, and he's in a situation where he's caught staring into the backfield. You do have to read the quarterback, and we all understand that, and he gets it better than I do. But to sit down, square up, and look at the quarterback while one of the NFL's elite receivers is running past you in a game when you know you can't make a mistake, to hand them 7 points. We could go on and on about the different plays in the game: Jacoby Brissett sack, block, field goal, time management. This was the critical play. You can't give 7 points to an elite receiver and just put it on a platter for him, especially when you're a team leader like Duggar is. That's the worst play of the game.
Well, speaking of elite quarterbacks, the Patriots, they're facing one with this week in Aaron Rodgers. Pretty settling into New Jersey. The QB got his first win with the Jets on Sunday through 2 games. Look at this. He's thrown for 343 yards, 3 touchdowns. He threw a pick with a QB rating of 92.2. Will the Patriots get the full Aaron Rodgers experience come Thursday, Tommy?
Well, that's what they have to be nervous about, because now they have film. Nathaniel Hackett and the rest of the Jets coaching staff have film on what the Patriots did against Geno Smith. And Geno Smith obviously is not nearly as good as Aaron Rodgers, but Geno went off, and he was able to spread the Patriots out, go no huddle, and actually pick them apart. And we all know the numbers there to his wide receivers. The wide receivers for the Jets are not nearly as good, but the quarterback is a hell of a lot better. So we're going to look at a situation, Kayla, where Aaron Rodgers, if they don't get heat on him, and they have not been able to exercise a lot of pressure up front so far, I'm really concerned about how much damage Rodgers can do strictly from the pocket. So the Patriots are going to have to figure something up to speed him up off his spot.
Well, speaking of speeding up, we're going to keep this thing going, okay?
We're
going to switch to a little bit of what could have been while Drake Maye is starting the season as the backup. Here's a look at the next 4 picks after Maye. Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors, they both had just ridiculous performances this weekend with over 100 receiving yards. Joe Alt and J.C. Latham, they've both been solid on their respective lines. So, Tommy, quick question for you. Are there any second thoughts running through your mind?
You might think I'm a bad guy for continuing to do this, but I'm gonna. You know why? Because I thought that there was real logic to the Patriots trying to staff their team elsewhere before they went and got their quarterback, whether it was left tackle, whether it was wide receiver, whether it was trade down and address both of those spots, whether it was trade down and address left tackle and get a quarterback like J.J. McCarthy. I know he's hurt. Doesn't matter to me. He's still going to be a stud. The Patriots had opportunities to do that. They got Drake Maye. He might be just fine. But right now, he's collecting dust and unable to be used because the offensive line isn't good enough. We talked about this in the offseason. The Patriots weren't good enough to support a quarterback. Now, we're going to talk about it in just a second with our poll. People's hands are sweating because Drake's going to go on the field and not have the support present.
We'll see how soon that actually takes place. We're going to take a look around the AFC. There are some surprises and surprise undefeated teams. The Steelers, Chargers, and Texans. Meanwhile, Jags, Ravens, and Bengals all remain winless. Tommy, which is the most surprising to you?
Probably the Ravens.
Yes.
I mean, the NFL MVP in Lamar Jackson, and they're probably going to be around at the end. The struggles, though, of the Jacksonville Jaguars are a little eye-opening. They've had some, as Trevor Lawrence phrased it, we kind of suck right now, and they kind of do right now. Is it the curse of Mac Jones, Kayla?
That's not for me to comment.
That's not for her to say. Me neither.
I thought we were leaving Mac Jones out of this segment. All right,
point by you.
Getting a win in Week 1, the Cowboys. I don't know if you guys saw Week 2. They got crushed. 44-19 loss to the Saints. But Mike McCarthy, he's trying to stay positive. Cowboys aren't the only team struggling right now. The Eagles, I don't know if you guys watched last night, they blew the lead after getting the ball back to the Falcons with a 6-point lead in under 2 minutes. They now have more blown losses in the final 2 minutes of a game dating back to last season with 4, and they're just 2-3 in their last 5 games with leads in the final 2 minutes.
So what that means to me is the Billy intensifies. The Billy Watch intensifies in both cities because Bill Belichick, he was linked last offseason both to Jerry Jones and to the Eagles. In stories that were reported, the Eagles were interested in Bill. And as we watch both of these teams go through their early season struggles, Bill has an opportunity right now to put a buff and shine on his reputation, which we see him doing. And the fact that he's got the Patriots marooned and left in a ditch, smoking last year and at 4-13, that fades in everybody's mind. And everybody's out there saying, wow, this guy's pretty good on TV.
He had himself a time last night.
He had a good time. You got more on that in just a second, don't you?
Oh, we have a lot more of that.
Okay.
But first, the poll. We had a poll today.
Yeah,
we have it every week. Time
From
now
the
for
stands.
what?
From the stands.
Let's hit it.
And get him out of there.
I actually think he's doing pretty good. I'd say leave him.
All right, here was the question. With every Jacoby Brissett whack, Drake Maye gets closer to the field. Would that be a recipe for disaster? More intrigued than worried, 59%. That took the cake, then up. He'll be fine. Finally, it's a disaster, sign a veteran. What did the people have to say?
Oh, the people. Let's start with Mark. If the season is just fodder for 2025, then Maye needs to play at least half the games this year to get ready. Let's stop helicopter parenting.
Love that.
And let the guy do his thing. Only the weak-minded will permanently be scarred, and even that's good data to obtain going forward.
He makes good points.
Okay, Harry Mann Jr., he says, I think Drake Maye is ready and able. In fact, maybe to start him maybe right now this minute.
No game right
Future should be now.
I like it.
Whitaker, Brad Whitaker has been showing up. Appreciate you, Brad. As athletic as Drake Maye is, not even Lamar Jackson could escape the collapsing pocket in the second half on Sunday. But he's better equipped to handle it than Jacoby. Maye never had a good O-line in college. Plus, he's thrown for over 3,000 yards in college. So, Brian Pello, he says he's going to have his rookie bumps, but I do think he'll do just fine. And the man bear pig.
Yeah, we know him.
Love him. Writes in, I think the wideouts would all of a sudden become twice as good if Drake were starting. He'd probably make some incredibly dumb plays, but that's what rookies do.
You know what? Every single one of those guys make good points. I love the point our first Mark made about helicopter parenting. Yes, if you put a player like Drake Maye in right now, you should be able to feel confident that you've selected the right individual and that you're going to be able to get some decent performance out of him. But as I pointed out at the top of the show, when you have this many players, and let's just use the Jets as a case study. Geno Smith, he ended up being put by the side of the curb. Now he's a Pro Bowl player for the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold, he is statistically through 2 weeks one of the best players in football. Why? Well, because he's in a better situation with a better team. He was left at the side of the curb by the New York Jets. Same thing happened with Zach Wilson. He's trying to reclaim his career in Denver. Mac Jones is going to be in the same boat. All of these guys are going to have good and successful games in the NFL because it's about situation. That's why I'm just afeared of the situation you put guys in, because even if they suck early, a lot of times that second time around, much better.
Wait, before we get to my corner, I'm going to backtrack on this. Do you think Drake Maye should be starting at least right now going into Thursday?
No, absolutely not. But the hard part of it is they released Bailey Zappi. They don't have another veteran on the roster, obviously. And I didn't think that they should. But the more I watch just how leaky and porous this offensive line is, the more I'm concerned, not about Drake Maye getting hurt. Everybody gets hurt. I'm concerned about regression. But enough out of me. Now it's time for Kayla's Corner.
Yeah,
it is presented by Shaw's, perfecting the art of fresh.
Thank you. Bill Belichick making his second appearance on the Manning Cast last night, and nobody was safe. Questionable clock management. You know what I love about this, Tommy Curran? This is the first time we have heard Bill Belichick, maybe the second, because apparently he talked about Keon White, but the second to first time we've heard Billy B mention the New England Patriots. And you know what he talks about?
A shortcoming.
Of clock management.
Mm-hmm.
He was roasting last night.
He was roasting, and it was interesting because there are agendas that are being served, I think, by Bill Belichick. One interesting aspect, too, and God bless Brian Belichick, the safeties coach. I think he's a smart guy, does a great job. But the biggest play of the game was made by a shortcoming from a safety. It was Kyle Duggar. Bill didn't make any mention of that.
No, he didn't. I don't know if he plans to as well.
I don't blame him. Brian's a good coach. But, I mean, if you're going to start taking pot shots from afar, and the first mention is that you can't manage the clock. Hey, Bill, it was a 4-13 team. There's a reason you're there, and they're here.
We expect nothing less.
He can do that, yeah.
Hey, I had fun.
That was a good show today.
Appreciate